Imagine wearing long sleeves in the middle of summer, when it's blazing hot? Well, that's just a normal day for Kim Chung-ah. She's out cleaning with some guy, and even while they work, he keeps sneaking glances at her. Our female lead stays covered in a worn-out jacket, hiding the wounds on her arm, the same ones the guy keeps eyeing. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he points them out. Her reflexes kick in fast. She does everything she can to cover the marks and dodge his question. Finally, she mutters, "It's nothing," but it's too late. The words, "Who did that to you?" hang heavy in the air. That moment marks the first time anyone notices her father's abuse. A wave of awful memories comes crashing down. But right then, the guy beside her, her boyfriend, becomes the miracle that pulls her out of the nightmare she once called home. For a while, everything is perfect. Life feels like a dream. But good things don't always last. Now, she's a cashier at a pharmacy, doing the usual tasks, while her mind races with thoughts of how to repay her boyfriend. She barely earns enough to get by. She remembers how he once told her not to get a job, and her chest tightens as she stands at the counter. Inside, she's already decided, she wants to leave the country and chase real happiness somewhere far away. Still, the idea of being truly free from him feels distant. The air at home feels suffocating, and the dream of living a life she actually wants keeps nagging at her. Desperate for escape, she taps the record button on her phone. "Hello everyone," she begins, saying whatever spills from her thoughts, until a loud noise cuts her off. The doorbell didn't ring, so she wonders, is someone inside? You won't believe what happens next. Chung-ah opens the door, and her eyes go wide. There's a man, covered in blood, standing right in front of her. Shock hits her for a second, but she quickly shakes it off and asks if he's okay. He glances at her, calm and indifferent, and tells her to leave him alone. He just needs a moment to catch his breath. She offers to call for help, but he immediately shuts that down. Confused and concerned, she wonders who he is and how she's supposed to just walk away and let him bleed. Evening clouds roll over the sky, and before we know it, she's helping the injured man into her apartment. The moment they step in, he asks for the bathroom. She points the way, but without a word of thanks, he grabs her bag and marches off, muttering that she should mind her business. Still reeling, Chung-ah scolds herself for letting a total stranger into her home. Her thoughts race. Should she message her workplace since she left without saying anything? Suddenly, a voice calls out her name, Chung-ah. She jumps away from the door, startled, but it's already too late. Her boyfriend walks in, asking why she disappeared from her shift. Feeling uneasy, she questions why he didn't give her a heads up before showing up. He brushes it off, saying he missed her. Inwardly, Chung-ah silently prays the two men don't run into each other. The last thing she wants is drama. Her boyfriend pulls her close and steals a kiss, then suddenly lifts her shirt. She immediately tells him to stop. She's not in the mood, especially with someone else in the house. Just when it seems like things can't get any worse, he slaps her. Coldly, he reminds her that she's nothing without him, that everything in the apartment belongs to him, including her. He questions what right she has to deny him her body, and for Chung-ah, it's like reliving an old nightmare. Thinking fast, she lies, saying she's been sick all day, and pleads with him to calm down. She explains further and even apologizes, anything just to keep the peace. He eyes her with impatience but eventually buys her excuse. As he turns to leave, he throws out a warning. If she ever pushes him away again, she'll be out on the streets. The door closes behind him, and Chung-ah sinks to the floor, exhaling in relief. But the quiet doesn't last. A voice cuts through the silence, asking about her relationship with the guy and tossing in a casual remark about how he would treat his own girl if he had one. She stares at the injured stranger, caught off guard by his comment. Why is she even listening to him? With irritation in her voice, she tells him to get out. Still, she half expects a thank you after letting him in and tending to him. But what he does next completely stuns her. He steps closer, gently lifts her chin, and leans in, his face now just inches from hers. Chung-ah freezes, unsure of what's happening until his phone suddenly rings, snapping the moment in two. He answers, speaking in a tone that sounds oddly different, suspicious even. She watches him closely, something about him not sitting right. Once the call ends and he turns to speak, she cuts him off and tells him to leave. He hesitates, looks at her like he wants to say more, but finally just murmurs, "Thank you," and walks out the door. Left alone in the tension-filled silence, Chung-ah stares at the blood-stained floor, her heart racing as she tries to process everything. The next day, our female lead returns to her dull routine, replaying everything that happened yesterday, almost convinced it was just a dream. Right then, a customer steps into the pharmacy, and she greets him without thinking. But wait, it's him. The guy from yesterday. Her eyes go wide as she stares, stunned, wondering what he's doing there. Meanwhile, the handsome stranger casually browses the snack section like it's no big deal. She's still caught up in her thoughts when he suddenly places a snack on the counter. Snapping back to reality, she gives him the price and asks if he needs chopsticks. When he says yes, she offers him one, and he heads to the dispenser. Then, out of nowhere, he asks if she was recording herself yesterday, repeating some of the things she said. Just like that, she realizes it wasn't a dream. She did meet him. And now he's teasing her about it. After everything she did to help him? "Hey, that's mean," she blurts, but he just stares at her like an adorable puppy, and somehow, her anger melts. She ends up confessing that she has no plans to post the video anywhere. In fact, the only places she ever goes are home and the store. She admits she's been practicing the life she wishes she had, it's her only source of comfort. The store falls into a tense silence. Her face burns with embarrassment. Why did she just spill all of that? Unlike her boyfriend, who only likes her when she's quiet and agreeable. Still flushed, she finally looks up and freezes. Mr. Gorgeous is sniffing her hair. Yes, sniffing it. When did he get so close? And more importantly, why is he doing that? And then, as if it's totally normal, he walks out of the store without saying a word, leaving her completely stunned and confused. Evening arrives quicker than expected, and Chung-ah walks down the street, her body aching with exhaustion. Her phone rings, and she picks up, only to hear her boyfriend scold her for not answering on the first ring. She quickly apologizes, but he immediately hurls insults at her, triggering the hurtful words he said yesterday to come flooding back, so heavy, she can't shake them off. Still, she promises to make him honey water and gently tells him to get some rest. The call ends just as abruptly. Right then, it hits her, she's trapped in a mess she doesn't know how to escape from. She silently wishes someone, anyone, would come save her. As if summoned by her thoughts, a pair of arms wrap around her from behind. A soft voice whispers into her ear, "Why is everything so complicated with you?" She freezes, wondering why he's following her, and more importantly, when he got so close. Then, he does something that leaves her breathless, he kisses her, and for a moment, she goes completely numb. In the next scene, and we find Chung-ah in a place she doesn't recognize. She's in a stranger's apartment, guilt creeping in as she realizes she followed Mr. Gorgeous without a second thought. Her mind replays the kiss, and how he gently coaxed her into just being in the moment. She keeps thinking she should leave. But suddenly, her eyes widen, there he is, standing in a robe, asking why she's standing so stiffly. For a moment, she stutters. He asks if she feels uncomfortable, and just as she's about to reply, her eyes catch the open robe. Her gaze climbs up his chest, then down again, and she's not sure where to look anymore. "If you want to leave, you can," he says calmly, but then adds with a softer tone, "though I'd like you to stay a little longer." Without warning, he pulls her in for a kiss, his lips pressing hard against hers, almost too hard. At the same time, she keeps feeling something brush against her clothes, but she avoids looking down, too nervous to confirm her suspicions. Then, in the middle of it all, he pauses to ask for her consent. Her cheeks burn with surprise, wondering if she heard him right. The thought instantly drags up painful memories of her boyfriend's harsh treatment. It hits her, this is the first time anyone has ever asked her permission. And the realization stays with her, heavy but meaningful. Suddenly, he plants a gentle peck on her lips, snapping her back to the moment, and asks if she wants to go back. Just a little longer, she replies, her voice steady now. For once, she's made up her mind to enjoy herself, on her own terms. And that choice makes him look at her with even more admiration. That decision sets everything in motion. Soon, pieces of undergarments are strewn across the room, hinting at what's unfolding between them. Wrapped in the moment, Chung-ah feels nothing short of amazing as they grow more intimate. Their intimacy lingers, but her thoughts suddenly drift to the painful moments she shared with her boyfriend, Jubin. Without meaning to, she begins to open up, revealing the pain left behind by her father, her so-called boyfriend, and even herself. As expected, the two dive into a deep conversation about their lives. He shares a little about his past with the gangster world and his decision to think more and act less from now on. Then he turns to her and gently asks how she truly feels, but her silence speaks louder than words. Still, he encourages her to just go with the flow, giving her the push she needs to let go of her boyfriend if she's truly drawn to someone else. And his words hit her hard, like a weight dropping straight into her chest. The next morning, Mr. Stranger is fast asleep on the bed while Chung-ah quietly tiptoes to the door. She casts one last glance at him before slipping out of the room. The moment she's outside, she checks her phone, and her heart sinks. Missed call after missed call from her boyfriend floods the screen. That's when reality crashes in. Disgusted by what he calls love, she decides to end it all. Mr. Stranger's words echo in her mind, giving her the strength to finally walk away. When she gets home, she rehearses how she'll break up with him, over and over. But peace doesn't last. He grabs her before she can even catch her breath, demanding to know if she's lost her mind. He shouts questions, where was she last night, why did she ignore his calls? And all the while, she smells the alcohol on his breath, a scent tied to the torment she endured during school. Suddenly, she snaps out of her fear. She pictures the stranger's face, and without thinking, the words come out. Let's break up. Stunned, he asks what she's talking about, but she raises her voice, repeating it louder. She tells him she's moving out and plans to pay back everything she owes. But before she can finish her sentence, he slaps her, hard enough to throw her to the ground. As expected, everything falls apart. He hits her again, this time, it's cruel and violent. And then, out of nowhere, something unimaginable happens. Mr. Stranger suddenly appears, striking her ex to the ground before rushing to Chung-ah, who lies helpless on the floor. He asks if she's okay, but before she can warn him, she sees her ex charging forward with a weapon. Too late. Blood sprays across the wall. Days later, she wakes up to the cold, white ceiling of a hospital room. Not long after, she's discharged. As she walks down an empty street, her emotions stay flat. Her ex has been arrested, but the relief doesn't bring her much joy. He was only charged with assault, and she doesn't even want to get into the restraining order she had to file. Still, for the first time in a long while, she finally feels free. Yet something feels wrong. Her heart aches as she wonders what happened to the stranger, the man who saved her. Tears fall before she can stop them. She drops to her knees, crushed by the thought that she doesn't even know his name. Time moves on, and before long, her life falls back into a quiet routine. She's still working at the store, still carrying on. But she admits to herself, she thinks about Mr. Stranger all the time. The sadness lingers, but she holds on to hope, doing her best to manage the heavy feelings. Then, just like that, his favorite snack lands in front of her. She quickly looks up, and there he is. Their eyes meet. And in that exact moment, she decides to live for herself, to follow her heart. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.